Morning, everybody. It's a pretty nasty, cold, rainy day outside. Can't decide whether it wants to rain or snow. I'm off work until Christmas, so I thought I would shoot a few videos, and obviously it gives me time to work on the railroad. Just because I'm working on Oak Hill so much doesn't mean I've forgotten about the Chillicothe layout, so I wanted to share a couple things with you real quick on that, and we'll talk about the couplers again just for a few minutes while Oak Hill is waiting on parts to get here and paint to dry, things like that. So first thing I want to point out is I put these handles on the covers. I love these covers, keep the dust off, they look good, but before I had the handles, I had fingerprints all over them. So this way I can take them on and off without, be careful not to pull that one off. I might need to trim out a little bit. I can take them on and off and not touch the glass. Actually, the usual method I take them off, I have a certain order. I take that one off down there first and then this one, because that's just the way they fit. But anyhow, that makes it look good, and it keeps the dust off, and my wife really likes it. So while I'm at it, I had a question. Someone asked, how can you manage so many layouts? Well, number one, the Garden Railroad is sort of like its separate entity. I mean, that's a seasonal thing. I mean, I'll go out there and plow snow, but most of the time in the winter it's dormant. So I wanted something to do inside in the wintertime. So I built this layout a couple years ago, and this is in my wife's art room. It has the piano in here too. And we have another spare bedroom that sort of like an office. And it has a little bit, actually it's a little bit bigger than this one. So I thought, hey, what if I can convince her that let me build another layout in the other room, and then I'll take this one down and just have one layout, and she can have the space back to hang art on. Well, she really liked this layout. She said, it's really a shame for you to take that down. I really like it. So why don't you just build a second layout in there? Sure. Now the two layouts are tied together. I mean, operationally, they're tied together. I use the same equipment, same locomotives. So it's not like I'm, going from 1910, O scale logging to 1980 N scale, diesels and chassis. So I don't have a lot of more investment equipment. I need a few more cars, probably to populate both layouts, but that's about it. Another thing in something I want to talk to you about is the reason why my wife said that is because this looks so good. If this had been a trash hole and just I had stuff piled on it all the time, I didn't keep it neat, she probably never would have said that. Probably never would have offered to let me do that. So those of you who think you don't have space for a layout, I've seen other people have their layouts like in family rooms where there's something like this, where it looks real nice, and it's actually a highlight of the room. There's a guy, I think it's, I subscribe to him, but he hasn't posted in a while. It's Central Jersey Conrail, something like that. Big layout in the basement. But he went through a wall into the family room and built a little section like this for a town. Looks great. Did the fascia, everything. It's a real highlight of the room. So, everyone has room to have some layout of some type, even if it's not quite this big. You just got to, negotiate with your spouse and keep it looking nice, and I think you'll get a lot of support. So I'm going to take the covers off and show you something else I did yesterday. This was a pretty easy one-day project. I added lights inside ITT Grinnell, or actually a light. So I'm going to show you how I did it. Model railroading is a lot about illusion. It's a lot like a stage play. People build sets out of wood and they paint them to look like brick or stone or whatever, and you're supposed to, be convinced that they represent what they actually do. So this building doesn't have an interior in it, and that I sort of did the same thing I did at Union Spring. It's not meant to be a focal point. If it was at the front of the layout, a photo may not work. But in the background, we can just see it at an angle like that. It's pretty effective. So at the risk of showing you how easy it was, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did. So you know my roof is removable here. So I can take my roof off. All I did, and I'll roll these cars out, get them out of my way. So I built a little mock-up, if I can get it out of there. Yeah. Built a little mock-up. Hopefully this is still in focus because I can't really see. It's just a piece of styrene painted gray. I've got a sort of like a piece of styrene behind it, and I found that picture on the internet. I'm going to get a fork truck and park here too, that you'll be able to see through the door, open door. But I think it adds a lot. The other thing is the light really helps me uncouple, because when I have two cars in there, sometimes it's hard to see it to uncouple. And I just position that in there, make sure that the cars don't hit it. I may fasten it down eventually. It's probably not in the right spot right there, but probably hit it with the car when I go in. Yeah, so the light is just a just plug light. I just actually scotch taped it up here because if I ever have to remove the building, I didn't want to fix it in place. I could have stuck a pole up, maybe just stuck it in the middle of the building. But I wanted it to be on this side so that if I put it more in the middle, the shadows of the cars would affect that, wouldn't look as good. So I wanted it to be on this side over here. So it's just running. I drilled a hole in the layout, ran it down through to one of my light hubs. And, so I think it's a pretty effective tool. Now, if you look at it really, really close, maybe not. Not perfect, but I think it adds a lot to it. I'll have to reposition that dock. I moved it a little bit in the process of doing that. Okay. So since I talked about lighting, let me tell you that basically my adding lights to this layout is pretty much done. Something I learned in the process of doing this is that you really need to plan for that at the beginning, and I didn't plan for that. I never intended to add lights to it. So like these houses, they have solid floors, bottoms on them. I just don't know how I could, and they're wood, I don't know how I could cut them out, thread lights up through there. And of course in a house you'd rather have not the whole thing lit, but just certain rooms lit. Don't really have a way of doing that now. The Minute Mart in the back, sort of the same way. I could add a light to the yard office, but something like lighting, I think either needs to be everything or nothing, in a way. You don't want one area to look like it's gone through a blackout and the other area be all lit up. I could add some street lights in here if I wanted to, but I really don't see any way of adding lights to any more of these buildings without some major construction, and I'm not really willing to do that. I think it looks good how it is. I really like the Just Plug lighting system, and I'm going to try to incorporate this into my layout in Oak Hill with some planning in advance. So just want to let you know you're not going to see a whole lot more lights pop up on this layout. Let's briefly revisit the coupler spring action. So I was putting the light in my building. I wanted to shoot a little video to show my friend what I'd done, and I was pushing in this Microtrains boxcar right there. It's a brand new issue this year. Has body mounted couplers, metal wheels, and I zoomed in to show the detail, and it's just boing, 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 boing. Sort of discouraged about that because I was really hoping that the body mounts were part of the answer, and they still may be. I'm firmly believe the body mounts are better than truck mounted couplers, no matter what scale you're in. I've converted all my G scale cars and engines to body mount. They all came with truck mount, cut them all off, put all body mount on. So I'm convinced that body mounts are better than truck mounts in every situation, unless you have super tight radius curves. But anyhow, so I thought, well, I will do a little investigation here. So you're going to see a series of videos with this train right here, this GP40 fabulous running engine. When you see the train start, I'm just hitting speed step 10. I'm set on 128, and so it'll like abruptly start, but I did it the same for all of them. Never adjusted the speed. And you'll see this car at the end, the General Chemicals car, just really bobbing along in the first video. So in the next video, I actually put a spring in one of the wheels, just one spring, one axle, not both, and it was improved. You'll see it, it's definitely less motion than there was in the first one. And then the third one, these are all older Microtrains cars. They all have, truck-mounted couplers, plastic wheels. Actually, the white car has metal wheels. I'd love to put metal wheels in all my cars if I can ever find them and afford them when I do find them. But like I said, they're all older cars. I'm convinced that General Chemical car is probably light by NMRA standards. I still haven't got a scale, so I can't check it. I do intend to do that, try to check my cars. But I don't think it's as big an issue on a switching layout as it is on a layout when you're running long trains, except when it comes to that coupler action. I think the weight would definitely help reduce that. Okay, so the first video is just the way it is now. The second video has the spring in one axle. And then the third video, I actually took somebody's suggestion and I put grease. I didn't have any Vaseline. I've got the motor like wheel grease. Took a toothpick and I put it in one of the coupler pockets. I didn't pack it in. You can see it, but I did not like just, keep shoving it in until it was coming out the sides. I just put a little bit in there. And so you'll see how that impacts the spring. Well, that's pretty interesting results. I think it definitely had less bobbing with the spring and the grease. Next, I'm going to try a car with just grease and no spring. I have 3 General Chemicals cars. I will probably put grease in those and just monitor them for a while, see how they do. Just pay attention when I'm switching them. I'm not going to run out and do all my rolling stock and then find out I've got a big mess in my hands coming up. So I'll keep you posted on it. I'll probably be coming out with an Oak Hill video pretty soon if I get some stuff in. So everybody stay safe, stay warm, especially in the Northeast. I guess you're getting hammered, so be careful out there.